To discuss, let's bring in the Money Men, business and markets analyst and NewsMax contributor Seth Denson, and America's accountant, Professor Dan Geltrude. Happy Sunday, gentlemen.
Good morning, Allie.
So this is great news if you're a new business starting up. So Seth, the money is to be allocated to startups and new businesses. But look, there's so many small businesses who are struggling right now. Why not give them help too?
Well, I think there are still ways for new businesses that are struggling to get help. The Small Business Association has still got opportunities for those folks. Again, I'm not saying that I love the idea that we're taking this $10 billion, which, by the way, has already been allocated. This was part of the original $1.9 trillion that was passed last March, and allocated specifically for startup business. But there's a lot of parameters around it that concern me, what they can spend the money on, who can get the money, are they underprivileged? And the government and the states are going to be deciding this, and there's just a lot of parameters. Listen, I am a big fan of the government stepping in when they've been hurting small businesses throughout this entire pandemic. I've said this is where the money needs to go, but I don't like all the parameters that are around it. But I'd certainly rather them spend $10 billion on this than $1 billion trying to figure out why the price of my hamburger went up last week.
No, you're right. That's a good point. Dan, given the current situation, do you think people would be anxious to even open up new businesses, especially in some of the blue states where you see these mandates, you see these massive restrictions?
Well, like any other time, you have to look at where are the opportunities for those new businesses to be opened. And certainly the pandemic has changed the landscape of a lot of things, particularly with business. So this may be a good time for businesses to start, depending on what type of industry they're going to be going into. At the same time, certainly overall, it is not what you would think to be the opportune time, primarily because shortage of labor. Again, I still believe that much of our labor shortage is being caused by policies coming out of the federal government, namely incentivizing people to stay home and creating mandates which in effect are causing able-bodied employees to lose their jobs.
Yeah, Dan, I'll stick with you on this one. I want to get your reaction to what Seth said, because there was already a lot of money spent to help small businesses. Do you agree that maybe what the government is doing is just giving more money to new businesses and not helping their existing small businesses?
Well, businesses in general obviously need some assistance. And I would say this, the BBB proposal, which I would prefer it be build back businesses as opposed to build back better, because I think a lot of what's in that bill is not what we need. Look, in order for our economy to be strong, we need to help businesses, specifically small businesses. And part of the way you help small businesses is not putting policies in place which hurt them. So if the government would just create a fair and level playing field for business, they would do just fine. I still believe in general we have policies that are holding back businesses.
That's a novel idea, to let the business, to have the government just let the businesses do their job, right, instead of getting involved. Seth, a lot of the $10 billion will overlap already existing programs. A lot of this money hasn't even been spent yet for businesses and programs.
Well, and my hope is that that's why they're allocating this specific money to go this direction. I mean, I've been critical of this administration, but if there's money out there and it needs to be going in specifically an area, I've said all along, we need to put more money towards small business. Now, again, as I said at the top, I don't like all of the parameters on this. I think it needs to be there needs to be more money available to. We've lost roughly a third of our small businesses, Allison, during this pandemic. So we need to prop up those that are left. And certainly there needs to be funds out there for those that have good ideas, that want to start businesses. I know that there's a lot of people that are taking this pandemic opportunity. We had the Great Recession going on. A big chunk of those are trying to find a way to start new business. So I'm all for money that we're already going to spend anyway to go to this as opposed to other public tough programs that the federal government wants to put out. But nonetheless, we need to be more specific and allow a broader aspect to any small business.
Yeah, no, Seth, you bring up a great point, because we got these businesses, they survived the pandemic, but now, as Dan brought up, they're struggling to keep employees, to get employees to stay open. So there's a lot that they're going through right now. Seth Denson, Dan Geltrude, thank you so much. We'll see you in the next hour.
Thanks, Allie.
Of course.